Hey there, it's Kathy with Be Creative with Kathy, and in this video I'm going to show you how to put together July Stamp Club card packet. We're using the Country Birds bundle that includes the stamp set and the dies, and we're going to make two projects. Now your packet looks like this. We're going to start with the more complicated project. That's what we're going to call it. So in our packet we want to pull out this blue and white packet here, and then that inside there's, which I've done some stamping. I've done a lot of prep work so you don't have to sit and watch me do a lot of it. So that's what we need. Oh, and we need this pin right here. Now I already have a pin that's, I guess, prepped and ready. So to get the point to come out, you got to click here, right? And then there's this red thing that you got to take off. And I already have one that's already, I guess you'd call it open. Let me see if I can find, here we go. Looks like this. So I'm going to use that pin instead of opening another one. Okay, so when we're going to start by stamping. And like I told you, I've done a lot of the prep work because there's a lot of die cutting, coloring, and stamping for this card, which by the way looks like this. It's a slide pop-up card, I think it's called. Look how cute that is. That's what we're going to make right now. So I've gone ahead and I've stamped the birdhouse using the big stamp here. I've stamped 2 of the clusters of flowers, and I've stamped 2 of the little birds. So I've already taken care of that. Let me see if I can find all the pieces and parts here, and colored them, and they're ready to go. Whoop, not that piece. There's my 2 little flowers, and then here's my bird, and then my other bird. And this time I'm gonna do something different. I tried to make my bird look like a robin red. Oh, they're not even in camera. Sorry about that. There we go. I've colored my 2 little flower clusters. There we go. And my 2 little birds. One of them looks like a robin redbreast. I grew up with those all around, and I haven't seen them lately, and I started thinking I miss them. But anyway, and then out of this same white piece, you need to die cut. Let me show you which dies you're gonna use. And my dies are a mess. We just got done with Zoom on our club. So this one here, we're gonna cut that out in white. We're gonna cut the scalloped one out in white. There it is. And then when you cut the birdhouse out, be sure to cut out that circle on the inside. There he is right here, the bird. And then the birdhouse has this great big die, and then I took this die and I cut out that little hole in the center so your bird can get into his house, whatever. Okay, and then where else is in my packet? We also need for this card, maybe that's it. No. We need this piece here. Well, let me find it in my packet. Here we go. Oh, and this one, nope, it's gonna look like this. That packet's a little bit different. So it looks like this, and you're gonna cut out this piece here, which looks like this. There we go. And this piece here, that looks like this. Now, the rest of the die cutting, let me just show you the other pieces that you're gonna need for the other card. There's another piece, the designer series paper, and I shouldn't call it a card, it's a project. You're gonna cut out those 2 pieces just like that. Now I would suggest you leave room here. We're gonna use these 2 pieces of this designer series paper with punching, so make sure you leave space there. We also need a birdhouse with the center cut out, not stamped, out of that basic beige that's in your packet. You need a couple leaves with the granny apple green, and you need a couple flowers with the daffodil. You need 1 little bow. Let me get that. These are all just part of the dies. And then you need 2 little white flowers if you want to do the card like mine. Now, of course, you know I encourage you taking it out on your own and doing it your own way, but this is what I'm going to use on my cards as I make them, okay? I hope that explains it. That way I have them all done, punched, so you don't have to sit and watch me die cut and color and stuff like that. Okay, so let's put all that away. Hopefully I won't lose it when I set it aside. Okay, put the dies away since I've already done it all, and let me show you how to assemble the cards. Okay, let me set that someplace where I can find it again too. Stamp set out of the way. I'm going to put the card here. Let me try to put all these pieces and parts back in that little dish so I don't lose them. Okay. So this here, now we've already used these pieces for our die cutting. And like I said, your piece looks more like this. These are just scraps for another packet. You have a piece of basic white that has the pretty punching on it. Now I used a retired punch. It looks like this, just a corner punch that gets that pretty corner at the top. I think it needed a little bit, and that's why I did that. You have a piece of designer series paper. You have 2 pieces of thick basic white that the designer series paper will layer on. That way you know which ones we're going to use. You have another piece of basic white that layers on this misty moonlight piece like this. Okay, and then of course you have your ribbon, and I'm going to just set the ribbon aside until it's time to use it. We're going to start with the designer series paper and 1 of those thick basic whites. Now this is just a quarter sheet of cardstock, 5.5 by 4 1/4, and this of course is just cut down to 5 1/4 by 4, excuse me. And I have to get, we're going to make sure that this piece here has lots of adhesive on it. So see how I've gone all the way, making sure I get stuff in the center here and the edges, adhesive all over. In fact, I'm going to add 1 more strip right there. Okay, and then we're going to just center this on this. No sparing the adhesive. Center it so it looks good, about like that. Okay, now I have a cheat sheet here that I'm going to put up onto our Facebook page Facebook group. So if you want to make another card, this has all the measurements. Now I know this looks pretty crazy right now, but once we cut this one, this will make more sense. Okay, like I said, 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of cardstock, the thick, and then the layer with the designer series paper. I'm going to put this in my trimmer, and I'm going to go, this is the 4 1/4 up here, the 5.5 down here. I'm going to line it up with the 3/4 inch line, and I'm going to take my cutting blade, and I'm going to start at 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to cut down to 4 1/4. So again, I said I'm going to start, and I can see my little tick mark here is lined up with the 3/4. Press hard to go through both, and I'm going to slice down here to 4 3/4. So then when you take it out, you have that slit in your card. Now we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. I've lined it up at 3/4 of an inch. All right, I'm going to start at 3/4 of an inch. Let me make sure. I think I moved my card. No, I didn't move my paper. It would have been just fine. There we go. I'm going to start at 3/4 of an inch and go down to 4 3/4 of an inch. Okay, now our cardstock looks like this, and it has those 2 slits on either side. Okay, so then I have to decide which is the bottom and which is the top. I like my flowers to go this way, so this is going to be the top, this is going to be the bottom. So I'm going to put the bottom in my trimmer, line it up at 3/4 inch again. I'm going to start at 3/4, or you can notice the little tick mark is where my cut line is, and I'm going to cut down to 3.5 or to this other cut mark. So I'm going to just go like this. You can kind of feel it when you hit the other mark, and like that. And now we have a piece. We might have to help this corner. Oh, there we go. That looks like this. Now for future reference, this opening here, this is the bottom, and this is the top of our card. While I have this here, I'm going to take it and put it at 2 1/8, which is the center. That pin that you got, let's just put a little mark right here. This way when we cut our notch, we'll know where that goes. But I think I've gotten ahead of myself, because now we need to score. So remember we talked about the top is now where my notch is. This is the bottom where the opening is. And first I should tell you too, make sure that you had enough adhesive that these 2 pieces, the designer series paper and the cardstock, are totally stuck down. If not, you need to add some now before we score it. Okay, so top is at the right, bottom is at the left. We're going to start at 1 1/4, 1 1/4, and I'm gonna score between those two cut lines. So I've got my cutting blade here totally out of the picture. Don't even wanna see it. We're gonna score now. So I'm gonna bring that scoring blade down to 3/4 of an inch, or else where this cut line is, and I'm gonna score between. So I'm gonna stop at this cut line, which is really 3.5. Okay, so start at 3/4 inch and go down to 3.5 and just press, and you got that score line there now, which you probably can't see, but trust me, it's there. Then I'm gonna slide my cardstock over to 3 inches. Again, this is the bottom, this is the top, and I'm gonna score again between those lines. So at 3/4 down to 3.5, just get some scoring in there. And then the last one is I'm gonna move my cardstock over to 4 3/4, or if it's easier, this is 3/4 of an inch here at the top. And again, this is at the top of those cut lines. I'm gonna score one more time between those. Now I can sit back down. Okay, now we have it like this. Let's put this aside. And now we're gonna fold. So I'm gonna take and flip this up like this, fold up, and then fold back, and then fold up, just like that, and get a nice crease on those pieces. And now you can start to see how our card's gonna go together. Now, because I want it to still lay flat, I'm gonna kind of fold both ways on those score lines. Not too rough back, but make sure it gets so it can lay flat again. All right, and then one more on this one. No, but it still has that ability to fold, okay? Okay, now let's go ahead and put our notch here at the top. So I'm going to use a 1 1/4 inch circle punch. Really though, anything that can put a notch at the top, it doesn't necessarily have to be a circle, any punch that you would have. I'm gonna bring it in here. Now I see my little line here that's in the center, so I'm gonna line it up. And I'm also gonna look at this piece. It's kind of easier to see if I have the same borders on either side, and then just pop that out just like that. Okay, now because my punch can't go through so many layers, I need to do the same thing to the other. So these are the two thick basic whites. They're exactly the same. I'm gonna lay that on there, and I'm gonna line my punch up again where it did the first one, and I'm gonna punch my hole out of that one too. And now look, they're the exact same. I hope you guys saw that. I hope I was in camera. Anyway, okay. Now it's time to do a little bit of stamping, but we got to figure out where we're going to stamp. So if I lay these perfect together like this, and I flip this up, I'm going to take that pen that I sent in your packet, what I call a magic pen, but really it's just an erasable pen. My cardstock is not lined up. Let me line my two pieces up. There we go. And I'm going to very lightly, so I don't make a score in my paper on the bottom, I'm going to just draw along the side, this, and this side like that. So now I know where I'm going to stamp. Okay, so let's do that real quick. I'm going to use black Memento ink for my flowers, and I'm going to use Misty Moonlight for my sentiment, which says hello friend. So I'm going to ink that up good, and I'm going to just stamp that down. Try to get it straight. Let's see if I can. That looks good like that. Stamp that down, and boom, I have my sentiment on there. We're going to put this away so I don't get my fingers in there, and then here we're going to stamp. Whoop, I want my little flowers up like this. We're going to just stamp a little flower. Okay. Now, remember I told you I had two other flowers, so I'm going to try to make them so they all, I'm going to bring in all those pieces again that we need for this card. So you can kind of see what we have going on here. The little bow, we need this thing. We need this flower. And we need this. I think that's all the pieces. Nope, not this one. We need this one. that we need for this card here. Okay, so I want to color this, except my bird. My bird is not there. Here's my bird. There we go. Now I think I have all the pieces. So I want this flower to match this flower, so I'm going to color it the same way. I'm going to use my color pencils, and I'm going to use, first of all, balmy blue, and I'm going to just kind of scribble on there. I don't want the balmy blue too dark. I want it more of a light blue, so I'm not going to apply a lot of pressure. And then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight. Now I want my flower to have shades, so on these little pieces in the front, I'm going to use a lot of pressure, and I'm really going to press down and get those nice and dark. And then that background, I'm going to just a little bit of pressure, so we have two tones to our flowers like that. Now before I color the center, I want to kind of smooth out the color pencil, and I don't want my center to bleed into my yellow, so I'm going to use Stampin' Blends Color Lifter and to smooth those out. Now I know you've probably in the past, if you use colors pencils, use a blender pen. Blender pen usually musks up my paper. It is not user-friendly to your paper. Hang on, I'm looking for a piece of scratch paper. I'll just use this here. Because when you go to change colors, you need to make sure that your color lifter is clean. So I'm going to go the yellow now. And as I was saying, the blender pen has, I believe, a glycerin, I could be wrong on that, base, and it kind of wets your paper too much. This is alcohol base, so it doesn't mess up your paper like at all. And look how nice it blends those pencils and makes those strokes, the pencil strokes, all gone. Okay, so let's finish coloring our flower here. I'm not gonna smooth any more out because the leaves are so little, but I'm gonna just put a little bit of granny apple green right there on this one, color all of these. And then for the inside of the flower, I'm gonna just use Melon Mumbo. And I believe those are all out of, let me tell you which assortment. It's the color pencils, I've written them here. It's all out of assortment number 1. Maybe it's 1 and 2. There's Daffodil Delight. It's all the color pencils. There's 2 assortments. You can go to my online store, kathyhouse.stampinup.net, to find out which colors go in which assortments. Okay, all done coloring. Now we need to get rid of that pen line. Since this is a friction pen, it's the friction or the heat of the erasing that gets rid of that line. So all we have to do is take our heat tool, and I'm going to let it get warm a little bit here. And then you put that heat onto that pen mark, and it disappears just like that. And now we don't have to try to erase. Now a pencil would be the same. I just have trouble sometimes pencils smudge and stuff. And this way you have no mark on your paper. And there is a little mark there. I can see a little mark, but trust me, when it's got the other piece on top, you won't see that anymore. Okay, let me show you another little bit of stamping that I've done in advance. So on this piece that layers on to that Misty Moonlight, I have already taken and stamped in Misty Moonlight the Hope You Have the Best Birthday Ever, or Best Day Ever, Happy Birthday. And I've also taken colored and put a flower there at the bottom. Okay, we're gonna take this piece and go ahead and put it on to that Misty Moonlight where it layers nicely. So now we have the back. This is going to be the back of our card. We have the back of our card all ready because it's time to assemble our card. Okay, so we're going to start with this piece here. I'm going to turn it over, and on the back here, I'm going to use some tear and tape. And on this little tab down here, I'm going to put tear and tape on there. Like that. And then I'm going to take tear and tape on the sides, all the way on both sides. And then along the bottom. So just so you know, I will never put any adhesive along this top right there. Just on the sides and on the bottom. Okay, push that down and make sure it's nice. Now this piece that has the decorative top, we're gonna add that to this. And I wanna make sure that the bottom of this, because of course the pretty corners are gonna be the top, I'm gonna lay that so that it's flush with the bottom of this piece that we cut and a top here. And that it's centered between the two sides. So it's gonna look about like that. So we're gonna take that tear and tape release paper, cover, whatever this stuff right here is called, take that off, lay our piece on there, make sure this is flat, lay our piece right here so it's centered and straight, just like that, and lay it down there, and then press hard. Now you can test your card if you hold the corner here and pull, it should do something like that. All right. Okay, bring back in this piece that we've stamped on. I'm going to remove those other release papers from the tear and tape. And now we want this side to be up because we want to see our stamping. We're going to layer these and they should be the same size and fit just perfect together. So I'm gonna take my time and kind of make sure they're lined up. The sides are good, and lay it down like that. And that right there, my friend, is how you get your card together. Now when you pull this, it should slide up and slide back just like that. Haha. Now let's go ahead and put the back on. Now like I said before, this is the top up here, right? I'm never going to put adhesive here. I'm only going to put adhesive on the sides, on the bottom, on the side, and then just for well-being, I'm going to put one across the middle here. And then we're going to layer this right here to the back of our card. So it looks like that. Okay, now we need a notch or a hole up here for our ribbon. So I'm going to make sure it's, okay, now there we go, closed. Bring in just a hole punch, and I'm going to center it in that little spot. Right, try to get it centered as best I can, like that. Now we have a hole that's ready for our ribbon. Our ribbon, we're just going to fold it in half, going from the front to the back, slip that through that hole, bring that loop to the front and those tails through the loop. Now here's where you have to be careful, because if you just tug, there's a good chance you can tear this paper up here, and then you don't have a place for you don't have a hole, you have a notch, and we don't want that. So I'm going to kind of just pull a little bit on this one, kind of convince it to do what I want, and get it to where the knot is down here, gently and safely. And there you go. Now we have a nice little ribbon there. These are too long. I'm going to just snip those down a little bit. And there we go. Now we just have to decorate our card. So let's go ahead and put our birdhouse together. This piece here, remember I told you to save it because we're going to use it. I'm going to take a 1-inch hole punch, and I'm going to punch out a little circle there. Now, if you don't have a hole punch, all you have to do is cut a little square, something out of there that's big enough to cover this hole. But we want this hole a little bit darker so it looks like there's an inside to the house. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Now, this here, the perch, I want that to be dark. In my video, or in class today, I colored it with the color pencils, and now I don't see, I'm going to get my Stampin' Right marker. So I'm going to just color that black just to fill it in so it doesn't look like a hole. We want it to look like a perch. Somehow we need to darken that up. There we go. So it just looks like that. Okay, this piece here, this little tiny here that we cut from the designer series paper, I'm going to put dimensionals on that. And I have many dimensionals here. I'm going to use my take a pick tool to pluck those off. Whoop. Okay, so my dimensional's not cooperating. There we go. And I'll probably just put like 5, maybe 2 on the sides. There, that's easier. one at the corner here. Yes, and then 2 down here. I beg your pardon, excuse me. I have a tickle in my throat. I probably should grab a drink real quick, but I don't think I have one here. And my dimensionals are not cooperating like at all. Okay, now I got a bunch of them. There. And since I have extra dimensionals, I'm going to just go ahead and flip my flowers over and set them here, not to waste them. Well, that one stuck to the flower, so I guess we're not doing that with that one. There we go. This, and look, oh my gosh, let me show you what not to do. After it took me all the time to get those dimensionals on there, I have them on the wrong side. I want the pink, or the petal pink is what this color is called, to be up and not down. So we're gonna take all those off and do it again on the right side. I want my dimensionals on the blue side. There we go. That's what my video is for, is to show you what to do and what not to do. Go. Now my dimensionals are cooperating at least. More there. Okay, and then we're going to just take this and we're going to put it right here where it belongs on that stamped birdhouse. And look how cute that is. There we go. Okay, this piece, I'm going to just take some tape runner and put this flat because I'm going to pop up the bird and the flowers, and so I want this flat like that. Okay, a little bit of liquid glue on the back, and I'm going to do it in little bitty dots like this. We're not going to see much of the hole from the other side, so I'm not going to worry. I'm going to try to get my designer series paper so that line goes up and down, but I'm not going to worry too much about it because our bird is going to cover most of that hole. Our little bird here that just needs a dimensional. He's going to go right here on his perch, covering up most of that hole. And then let's put some dimensionals on my little flowers here. This one, gonna go that way. This one is gonna go maybe like that. Turn this over. Now I'm gonna put this onto my card on dimensionals. So I'm gonna take 3 dimensionals right here at the bottom. Whoop, don't put that away. And then on my card, we only want adhesive on this rectangle here. No adhesive here, no adhesive here. So then a couple dimensionals right under that fold. Maybe one there. And one right there. Let's see how that looks. Yep, that's right under the fold. And then this I'm gonna put right above that fold there. And I think it's easier if you bend it and then set it this way. There we go. And now look how cute that is. So the only other thing we have to do is take our bow. Now we don't need this string here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that off. So just a little bit of snipping and boom. Now we have a bow with no string. A little bit of liquid glue on the back of that. And set that right here at the top. And there you go. So there's our card, project number 1. All right, so you pull this and your bird and your message pop up. And then on the back, you have that message of hoping you have a great birthday. Alrighty, I hope you like that card. I think it turned out really cute. I need to thank, I think her name was the Wandering Stamper. It should be in the description below of who I cased this card from. Okay, and this, again, I will put on our Facebook group So if you want to go back and have the measurements, and hopefully now this mess all makes sense. Okay, let's go to the next project. I put my kit. Okay, so we have this piece here, we have this here, and we have all these little pieces here. Kind of clean up a little bit and get ready, okay? So we're gonna start, and I noticed when we were in class today, I guess you call it, nope, this one is scored. Some of mine weren't scored here at the top the second time, they were only scored on one side. So if your kit is not scored on one side, this is just needs to be scored at 1 inch. Hopefully all the rest of them are now scored the right way. Your project, let me find, here we go, looks like this. The designer series paper in my kit is just a little bit different because I don't have any more of this paper, so I had to cut my packet with a little bit different designer series paper. Okay, we're gonna fold on these ends, both ends we're gonna fold into inside of our card like that. This one we're gonna fold this way. These center fold lines we're gonna fold inward too, like this. Okay. Okay, so now we have a piece that looks like this. Okay, we're gonna fold these two here, and I'm gonna hold them together like this, and I'm gonna put with a white, I have a white chalk pen here, just something that I can see about where I want to punch my hole. I'm not gonna measure, I'm not gonna take the time to measure it, but I'm gonna just put a little mark like that on that score line, and now I know where I want to punch my hole. Okay, so I'm gonna just take my hole punch here, line it up with my little mark right on that score line, and boom, got me a little hole. I think this is a 1/8 inch hole punch, but to be honest with you, I'm not totally sure. Gosh, and I look now, that looks really, I'm gonna change my mind and put it over here. I don't think that was the right place for my hole. Let's see if I can get that off. I'm gonna try to erase that first mark. Nope, it's stuck there. Okay, then I'm gonna open it up and squeeze them together like this. Make sure the tops line up, and then I'm gonna put those, probably should have measured them because my holes are gonna be off. Hopefully your holes look better. But I guarantee if I gave you this as a gift, you wouldn't be like, oh, I don't want it, her holes are off. Okay, so now we have our holes in our paper that look like that. We're gonna take this ribbon here and we're gonna cut it in half. So I'm gonna fold it in half, make sure I got the middle. There we go. And then using my ribbon scissors here, I'm gonna just take that and cut it in half. So now I have two pieces of ribbon that are the exact same. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is next to this line here, next to that fold line at the top, or next to where you have your holes, I'm going to put a piece of sticky strip just like this. Lay that down. Then I'm going to bring in my ribbon and I'm going to pass it through that hole. And the same ribbon, I'm going to bring it around to the other side and put it through the hole, making sure that it's not twisted here, that my loop, let's see, my loop looks good like this, like that. Okay, pull it through almost all the way. Remove that backing from the tear and tape. And then I'm gonna lay my ribbon right on that tear and tape like this. That is gonna secure that ribbon so it won't come out. And then another piece of tear and tape up here at the top, like this. Remove that backing. And then I'm gonna just fold on that score line and lay it flat. And look how nice that looks with a nice secure ribbon. Okay, let's do the same thing to the other side. We're gonna start with our tear and tape at the fold line. Feed our ribbon through there. Bring our ribbon around to the other side, feed it through the hole. Make sure that it's not twisted. Looks good. Pull it through just a little bit here. Okay, remove that adhesive or that backing from the tear and tape. Lay my ribbon right on that tear and tape. A little bit of tear and tape across the top here. Like that. Remove that backing and fold that down. Now I think this is brilliant, so I have to tell you, Linda Heller, who I saw this from, thank you very much. I love that idea. Looky there. Okay, so now your piece of designer series paper that, remember, that looks like this, we're gonna layer that onto our cardstock, or our card here, so it fits perfect right here in the front, and then another one right here in the back. So just some, and I'm struggling right now trying to decide, do I want it this way? I think I want to go this route. I think I'm going to put this tape on this side. Lay this down. I think I'm going to like the contrast between the birdhouse roof and this lighter color on the designer series paper. Really, my favorite is this pattern here, but like I said, I didn't have enough for all you guys and me, so I had to settle for the other, which is still just as pretty, but not my favorite. Okay, there we go. So now we have that down like that. Let's go ahead and make our birdhouse. So in our pieces and parts, I told you I have already cut. This is the only piece we need here. I've already cut all of these pieces out of there. Nope, this one. This is another one. I cut that one for you. That's going to cover the back of our birdhouse. So we have this piece here. We have this piece here. We have this piece here. This little tiny strip here. The daffodil, the light, all these little pieces that we're going to use to decorate our card. Okay, let's start with this piece here. So I'm going to turn, well, no. Beg your pardon. Got ahead of myself again. I'm going to just put adhesive like I did before on the feed. Well, I call it a food tray. I think that's what you'd call this part of the birdhouse. This is where you put the food so the bird can snack. There we go. For the top here, I'm going to just use liquid glue. I'm going to put it straight onto my cardstock here. Just up here at the top. I think it's a little bit easier to get those pieces glued on when you put the adhesive or the glue directly onto your cardstock. You can kind of see there's a perfect notch right here where, there we go, the roof of your birdhouse goes. Then a little bit, ooh, stop, back up. This little piece here, we're gonna take and stamp that little scalloped on there. See, it's a part of the stamp set. It looks like this in the stamp set. This little piece right here. So we're gonna stamp that, and I almost forgot, on the front of our house. Like this. I'm gonna stamp it in that misty moonlight, and it looks hard, but so far, if you have it on a dark background, and you take that little piece, I might get my head in the camera, and you just stamp it down just like that. It is very user-friendly. It's been very good to me so far. There we go. So now we have that little ruffle or those little scallops on our birdhouse. Now we're ready to put it onto our card. So I'm going to just take no more liquid glue and just right next to that designer series paper, a little strip here, and a little liner strip right there. I'm going to take this and then just set it right up against that roof. So it looks like kind of slided around. There it goes. It had to slide into place and it looks like that. Isn't that cute? Now we're going to cover up that little seam with this little L-shaped thingy here. So again, I'm going to just take a little bit of liquid glue like this right on that seam. And put this right over those two edges where those two edges meet. Like that. Sorry, my cat was walking on my keyboard. Okay, so now it looks just like that. Is that not adorable? I think it's really, really cute. Okay, now we're ready to add this little piece. I'm going to just turn this over. I'm going to put a dimensional on the top and the bottom of my little birdhouse, above and below, I guess you would say, of that hole of the opening. This is going to just give it a little bit more depth and look like it's the back side of the house. Take this and lay it right there. And then a couple more dimensionals, because I'm going to add the house to my project with dimensionals. There you go. One. Boy, they don't call me Grace, that's for sure, because I feel like I am all thumbs with the dimensionals today. I'm not sure what's going on, but it's a rough dimensional day. Okay, got my dimensionals on there. We're going to bring our project back in, and we're going to just lay our little house right there on top of that designer series paper. Like that. Little dimensionals on the back of my bird, and I'm going to go ahead and lay him down. My little robin redbreast, how cute he is. Let's take our little flowers. I want to layer these two, so I'm going to just pop a little bit of glue in the center of this one, and then lay him down on top of that one. This one I want to put a little bit of glue on the back, and I'm going to just put him flat here behind that little feed tray. Little leaves, we're going to put those on here too. And you could glue these to this. I'm going to just kind of guess. I think the leaves need to be random, so I'm going to just set that in there. A little bit of adhesive on this leaf. Set that one maybe over here, and then a little bit of glue on the back of this. Layer of flowers, and put that right there in the center. And look how cute that is with that one little flower poking through the top. I'm going to move this up just a tad. There we go. Like that. Cute, right? We got to put this flower on there. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back of him. Lay him just right up here. And then in your packet, you have these two little gems here. I'm going to just take those and put them in the center of our flowers. Like that. Oop, I missed the center. Come on, buddy. There we go. Just like that. So now all we need to do is make that little tag. So again, with that Hello Friend and that Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight ink, I'm going to stamp so the D in friend is toward the edge. Might get my head in the camera. I'm trying to get it straight, but just like that, so that D is close to the edge. Whoop, over there. Going to take my hole punch, try to punch it in the center, like there. With my paper snips, I'm going to just trim off these corners. Something like that. Now I have a lopsided tag. I didn't do very good on that one. In fact, let me mirror this one a little bit. There we go. Now they're the same. Okay, then with this designer series paper that we saved, we're going to take, I'm going to put just a little bit of liquid glue on the back here. Just about 1/4 of an inch. I don't know if you can see it, but a little bit of glue back there, and then put it on here Make sure that glue is all covered. And I've got it just here in the corner, like this. I'm gonna cut this away. Make sure this is straight. Like that. And then if it's too long, if it's not straight, I'm gonna just trim this down to make it look straight like that. And then you have an adorable little tag with a little bit more of that designer series paper. Okay. Let me put my glue away so it doesn't dry with the lid off. That would be bad. Okay, with the linen thread, I'm gonna just fold it in half. Just like I did with the other card, I'm gonna feed it through the front. Bring that loop back over and put those through there like this. And then I'm gonna, around just one set of the handles here, I'm gonna bring it around like, I don't wanna get it too tight here, but I don't want it too loosey. So I'm gonna go about like that. I'm gonna just tie a simple knot and a bow. There we go. And just a little gentle bow right there. And then my little tag is just hanging from my side. And then, oh, we need to put our Post-it notes in there. We almost forgot that. All I'm gonna do is open, if I can get them out of their packaging. There we go. Take off this back. Now you have that sticky right there. I'm gonna line it up with that score line. Make sure it's in the center of my paper. This is the back. Want it on the back like that, and then you just close it up, and there you go. Look how cute. Where'd my tag go? There it is. So there you go. There's project number 2. Alrighty, so if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. If you're interested in joining us for club, we meet once a month. The requirement is a $35 order. And then we take turn doing the hostess benefit. So there's what we made this month. Next month's session will be short. Well, depending on how many members we have, probably though just 3 or 4 months. All right, if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. If you're interested in a packet, let me know that too. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.